So hello guys, in this lecture we will study bending theory. Okay, so relationship between moment and bending stress that we will develop over here, and let's start. Okay, so as you can see over here, this is your straight member. Okay, one straight member is there, or this is like a beam. Okay, so and what we are doing here is we are applying sagging moment at the ends. So as you can see over here is this distortion, this change in the shape of the body, and what it is showing here is that this particular surface is going to contract, while and this at the bottom this particular surface is going to elongate. So there will be compression over here, and there will be tensile stress, and elongation will be here in the beam. As you can see in this figure also, this is a rubber strip, and what we have done here is we have applied hogging moment over here, and see these are the various chalk lines are there. So what it is doing, this upper portion, since it is a hogging moment, so upper portion above the neutral axis will be elongating, and downward portion will be in compression zone. You can see over here an arbitrary member is there, and if you are applying a moment over here, so the upper portion above the neutral surface will be in compression, and lower portion will be in tension. If the this moment is being means applied downwards, means in clockwise direction, or it is a hogging moment, then the situation will reverse. The upper portion will be in tension, and lower will be in compression. Okay, so that you have to remember. Then what is flexure formula? Basically what flexure formula is, it is a relationship between the moment that is being developed inside the beam due to external loadings and the stress that is being applied over there at a particular section. Okay, so that is what we are doing here is we will calculate the relationship between the two, and how it is being varied across the cross section. Means also the more the bending stress that we call it as stress caused due to bending at a cross section, it is not uniform at the entire cross section. It will vary. Okay, so we have to develop one relationship between M and bending stress. Okay, so let's see this example of a cantilever beam, and this beam is subjected to a sagging moment over here. So there will be sagging in the beam, and what we will do is we will take a small length of a small disc, or you can say a small strip of this beam, and we will see how the stresses are causing at the this cross section, which is x distance from the support. Okay, so let's see over here. There are certain assumptions that you have to assume basically, and first is your longitudinal axis. Basically the longitudinal axis of the member will lie within the neutral surface. Okay, and neutral surface won't change any length because there is no stress is causing over there. That region is neutral. The stresses will be above the neutral surface and below the neutral surface. Second assumption is all the cross section of the beam remain plane and perpendicular to the longitudinal axis of the member during the deformation. What it does say that since you can see over here is this distortion. Okay, this distortion in the shape, there shouldn't be any distortion. Okay, means what we are assuming that the area is square after the bending also, but in actual case it won't happen. But for our sake of the simplicity, we are assuming that the shape of the cross section will remain same, and also it will always be where, no matter where you want to cut over here the section, it will always be perpendicular to the longitudinal axis of the member. So these are certain assumptions are there, and this third I have already told you that any deformation in the cross section within its own plane will be neglected. Means there won't be any deformation, the area and shape of the cross section will remain same. Okay, so what we'll do is we have taken this small strip, okay, of delta x length of the beam, and we will see at a particular distance from neutral axis y, at this position, what is the amount of strain. So when we calculate the strain, we can directly calculate the stress by Hooke's law. So this is a undeformed element, and this is the deformed element after the bending of the beam. So what is happening over here, you can see over here the distance means the width of this strip is delta x, and here it also before bending it is delta x. Let's say this is delta s, okay. And after the bending, what is happening, it will following a curvature, and this portion will shorten and this portion will elongate. So at this portion, this there won't be any change, because this portion is at, means this delta x is at neutral axis, okay. So at certain distance from the neutral axis y, there will be either elongation or compression. So in this case, this is compression. So delta s dash, let's say this is the deformed width of the element. So what will be the strain will be the means change in length of the change in width upon the original width, and you can test directly calculate it from here. See, delta s dash minus delta s, and this is the original width was delta s. So as you can see over here, there will be a means curvature. This longitudinal axis will follow a curvature, and there will be a center point over here. So suppose this is the radius of that curvature, rho, and this is the theta that it is making at that point, particular point, delta theta. Very small theta is there, because this means the radius of curvature is very large. So what is happening, we can directly correlate this delta s dash in terms of radius of curvature and delta theta. So this is what we have done is, so you can see your arc length. What is arc length? Basically arc length will be given by the this arc length, delta s dash will be given by, or this delta x will be given by how much, it will be rho into delta theta, okay. And delta x dash will be rho minus y into delta theta. That what I have done over here is, so this is after simplification, what you get is epsilon is equal to minus y upon rho. And why it is minus? Because it is showing that this strain is in compression, okay. So that is basically what it is, a minus sign is there, okay, the significance of minus sign. Now you can see over here that maximum strain will be maximum at the top or the bottom, okay. So as you increase the value of y up to y max, the strain will be, means you can say that the strain will be maximum, okay. So you can see over here that if we take a relationship between the two, this will be this epsilon upon epsilon max will be equal to y upon rho, and c is basically your y max. This is c, okay, c upon rho. So this is epsilon max and this is epsilon at a particular point. So you can take a ratio, and this you can calculate the values. If you know that means maximum strain over here, you can directly calculate the value at any point in the cross section. So let's move further. As you can see that due to Hooke's law, what we can do is we can also derive relationship for stress due from this equation, okay. So that's what I have done. So you can see over here, this is the strain distribution in the beam at this cross section, and this is the stress distribution, you can say. So how we don't denote it, we denote it by compressive stress like this inwards, and tensile stress like this outwards, okay. So and how we know that this is linear? You can see over here that stresses and strain is basically directly proportional to y. So this is basically linear variation, okay. As y will increase from here at the neutral position, it will increase, and it will increase in the downward also, as well as the means stress, okay. So sigma is equal to yc upon sigma max. Basically this is driven from this equation, okay. So that's the thing. So let's relate moment that is being applied inside the cross section internal moment, and the stress that is being developed at here. So you can see over here, this is a 3-dimension figure, and how the stress is acting on the cross section. So area of the cross section is A, okay. And what we do is we will take a small area to calculate the moment and force basically. So this is the stress distribution that you can see, and stress distribution, this is compression, and below the neutral axis this is tension, and at a particular distance from neutral axis this, okay. So this is all this is how we show in cross section, and neutral axis in elevation, or you can say along the longitudinal axis will be like this, okay. So this is the neutral surface basically. So this is y. At y certain small d area will be taken, and we will calculate what is the amount of total force that is being generated over here due to stress. Okay, so what is this? Basically stress, we know the stress relationship in terms of strain, and y and c and sigma max. Okay, so what you do is how this moment will be applied over here, will be transferred over here. That moment will be equal to df into dA. Okay, df into, what is this, m is equal to df into y. Okay, so this is the force and this will be your lever arm. And what is df? Basically df basically will be the sigma into dA. So this is the force that is being applied over this small area. So what this we have done is here, that if we are going to summation of the moment at this particular line, this neutral axis, what we get is m is equal to y into df. So this is your force, this is your lever arm, and then we will integrate for the entire area, and what we'll get is df. We can substitute df by sigma dA, and then this sigma can be calculated or substituted from the above equation, that y upon c into sigma max. Okay, and then what we'll do, we will integrate this whole, because sigma max and c is basically constant, and this c is basically the y max. Okay, and this is y square dA. So you can see over here, what is this y square dA? This is basically the moment of inertia. Okay, moment of inertia, and this is denoted by I. Okay, and sigma max is equal to mc upon I. So that's the thing, that's how you can calculate stress relationship between m and sigma max and c. And for any point in the cross section, you can directly calculate by sigma is equal to m upon I and into y, and y is the distance from the neutral axis, either at the top or the bottom. And what this negative sign is showing, it is showing that at that particular point that we are having calculated over here, this is in compression. Okay, so at the bottom, if you go in the bottom to the neutral axis, this will be positive. So the relationship between is m upon I is equal to sigma upon y. Okay, so that is the thing. So you can see over here is sigma max is maximum normal stress in the member which occurs at position, the point in the cross sectional area farthest away from the neutral axis, means this will be at the top of the body. Okay, top of the cross section, either it will be top in the bottom, or it will be top in the, sorry, it will be maximum at the top and maximum at the bottom. Okay, so you have to calculate both, because you have to show the bending distribution in the entire cross section. Okay, so and m is, what is this? M is the internal moment that is being developed due to external forces or moment that is being applied on the body. And what is c? C is basically, in other books you can say y max, or you can see what is the limit is there. So this is the basically maximum amount of maximum value of y, you can say, that is the depth of neutral axis, you can say. Okay, and I is moment of inertia. And what is this basically moment of inertia? This is basically second moment of area. And what is second moment of area? You can go, I have uploaded one study material regarding this from the Wikipedia page, that how to calculate moment of inertia of certain sections, like rectangular section, or circular section, or triangular section, or square section, or hollow tube. Okay, so go through that and see how it is being calculated, and remember the values. Okay, and remember the how to calculate, okay, the formulas of this moment of inertia, so it will help you. So this is basically why we call it as second moment of area. You can see over here that this area is being multiplied 2 times by the lever arm, so that is second moment of area. And what is first moment of area? First moment of area will be, this particular area will be multiplied by the single time, means multiplied by a lever arm only one time, so that will be called as first moment of area. Okay, about the neutral axis basically it is. So this moment of inertia is about the neutral axis of the beam, and how we will calculate that we will show in we will see in the one example over here. Okay, so let's move to the lecture notes. Okay, So as you can see over here that I have already given you the lecture notes, and you can see what is the fracture formula that we got suppose this is a beam, simply supported beam is there, load is acting over here, and it is in it in the cross section of the beam is BD. This is rectangular cross section, okay. And how the bending moment and bending stress distribution is going to happen. So at this point M, so what is M? M is the internal moment that is being developed at the C, and what is the value is there, if you can calculate it will be WL by 4, okay. So this is a moment, and this is a flexure formula that you call it as M upon I is equal to sigma upon Y is equal to sigma max upon Y max, and this is C basically, Y max is. So sigma upon Y, and Y, what is Y? Y is the distance of any point. Suppose you want to calculate at a certain point in the body, so Y is the distance from the neutral axis at that particular point, okay. So that will give you the value of the stress. So what you have to do is first you have to calculate the depth of the neutral axis. So you have to know for an arbitrary section that where is the neutral axis lies basically in the cross section. So what how do we calculate it? We calculate by using method of first moment of area, and what we do is we assume that summation of all the moments at a particular line, about a particular line, suppose it will be top or bottom, that would be equal, okay. Moment of the areas basically. So what I have done is I have assumed that there is a neutral axis that is being lying y bar distance from this top point, okay. And the total area is A, and this is smaller areas A1 and A2, and the y1 and y2 are the distance from this particular line, okay, from the top y1 and up to the CG of this A1 area, and A2 is this y2 is distance from the CG from the top of the A2 area. So just apply moment about this particular line, okay. Apply moment, all summation of all the moments is equal to 0 about this particular line, and you will get this equation. And y bar into A, this is the first moment of area, okay, and this is first moment of area for smaller areas, and y1 into A1 and plus y2 into A2. And by this formula we can also calculate we can calculate the depth of the neutral axis from the top. You can calculate it from the bottom also. For that you have to take all the distances from the bottom, okay. So this you can calculate it from either side, and make sure that where you are calculating the depth of the neutral axis will be coming from there only, okay. It means either you can calculate it from the top or you can calculate it from the bottom. So this is the thing, and if there are so many areas different means another area is there, so just you have to add y3 into a3, okay. We'll see that. So let's see over here for the rectangle cross section what is there. For the rectangle cross section we know that moment of inertia or neutral axis basically, this we have calculated that what is y bar neutral axis. Well, neutral axis will lie at the d by 2, means it will be centroid, okay, middle point of the cross section, and I in A will be bd cube by 12, okay. So you have to remember this equation, what bd cube by 12, and how we got this. Basically this we got it from the integration, and you can go in the Wikipedia page and see how it is being calculated over there, okay. So that there will be a double integration, and you can see over there and calculate it. So bd cube by 12, and this is the relationship we got over here is m is WL by 4, and what is the maximum value, sigma of compressive stress and tensile stress. The compressive stress will act at the topmost point and tensile stress will act at the bottommost point, means in this below the neutral axis this is tension zone, and above the neutral axis this will be compression zone. So what is the value of sigma c and sigma t? You can directly calculate it by putting all the values over here, okay. And you can see over here that this sigma c or sigma is directly proportional to y, so this is linear, okay. Maximum 0 to there, so y will be varying from 0 to y max, okay. So so the stress at the neutral axis is always 0, okay. And normal stress basically these are the normal stresses, okay. And shear stress won't be 0. We will talk about that later, how the shear stress will vary across the cross section. So this is the variation of normal stresses that is also called bending stresses due to the internal movement that is being developed over here. So let's take one example. I've taken this example from the example from the book, and this is a simply supported being that is being subjected over by UDL of 5 kN per meter. Okay, so just what you have to calculate it. First of all, you have to calculate the maximum moment that is being whatever. So why we have to calculate maximum moment, because at that particular point of the maximum moment there will be the maximum value of stresses will be achieved. Okay, so yeah, for calculating maximum value of bending stresses, you have to calculate at that particular point where the bending moment is maximum in the entire beam. Okay, so first of all, you have to calculate the maximum value of bending moment. We know that it is at the center, it will develop at the center, and you can directly go to the go for the formula, or you can just go and cut the section over here and calculate it. So this is WL square by 8, and it is coming to be this, and this is the cross section of the beam. This is like a built up I beam section. Okay, so we have three built up areas, and we don't know where the neutral axis will lie. So what we'll do, we will calculate first moment of area from the top of the beam. Okay, so what is this? A1, this is A2, and this is A3. And what will be the y1? Y1 will be the distance from the top to the CG of A1. The distance y2 will be distance from the top from the CG of A2, and y3 will be distance from the top to the CG of A3. So this is how you can calculate it. Okay, so we are getting y bar is equal to 170 mm from the top. So it is coming out to be in the center, because this area is, or you can say this built up section is symmetric about this axis, about the neutral axis. Okay, so when the this area is symmetric about neutral axis, you can directly calculate by divided the length depth by 2. So because it will always lie in between. Okay, for the symmetric sections only. If it is unsymmetric, suppose it was a T section, so it won't be in the middle. Okay, so that for that you have to calculate like this from the equation. So now what you have to do is you have to calculate next step is you have to calculate moment of inertia about this neutral axis, that we don't know. And what we know is, we know only the moment of inertia for a separate section, means separate areas at the CG, means this is this is the CG of this A1, this is the CG of A2, and this is the CG of A3. So CG of A1 will be how much? IA1 will be BD cube by 12. So B is 250 and D is 20. So this is 1 by 12 and 250 into 20 cube. So you can calculate moment of inertia about their CGs, and what we'll do, we will apply parallel axis theorem to transfer the moment of inertia from the CG to the neutral axis of the beam. Okay, so how we calculate it? For this area, you can say this the CG at the CG moment of inertia is IA1. So this is given by IA1 plus A1 into D1 square. And what is D1? Basically, D1 is the distance of the CG of the area to the neutral axis, and you can directly calculate it from this formula that I have given. So this is basically your neutral axis. Okay, sorry, depth of neutral axis y bar, because we are calculating from here, and if you just calculate it from here, D1, this will be coming out to be this. Okay, and y1 will be, what is y1 over here? Y1 will be the distance from CG of this area to the top. Okay, or you can directly calculate it from the this section. Okay, so I provide formula also, and if you are not confusing over here, then you can just go and see the formula. And this is mod basically. So if this is coming negative, so this will be all automatically coming positive. Okay, so that is basically how you can calculate I and M. Is for all the areas you have to shift this IA3, IA1 and IA2 at the neutral axis. And you can see over here that the neutral axis is passing through A2, so that this D2 is will be 0. Okay, so what is this D2 again? D2 again is distance of the centroid of the area of A2 to the neutral axis, that is coming to 0. That is why it will become 0. And what is D3 basically? And D3 will be distance of the CG to the neutral axis. Okay, so know the difference, what is D and what is y bar and what is y1, y2 and y3. Okay, so that is how you have to see, and just practice it and you will get to know. Okay, So now by using this formula you can calculate the total moment of inertia for these separate areas about neutral axis. So this is how I have calculated. The value is coming to be this, and the unit will be mm by 4. Put it in mm or meter you can say, but you have to make sure that what when you are using the formula, everything sort out means the unit will be should be the same. And this is mm4, okay, sigma a1. And what is this basically? At this particular point at A, where you have to calculate stresses at the farthest reach, means at the top of the beam or the bottom of the beam, and where the section is changing basically. So this is also the important point, the where the section is changing. So this is at the B. So what you have to see, you have to calculate sigma a will be the topmost point, so the y will be y max, and y max is d by 2 basically. Okay, and m y max and ina, and this is how you can calculate putting by between the values. It will be compressive in nature. Okay, and c will be the same. Why it is same? Because all the quantities are same over here, but then this action is different. It will be action is different. It will be tensile and it will be compressive. Okay, and this is at B. How you can calculate at B? So y will be 150 over here. You can directly calculate it from there, this cross section detail over here. Okay, so y will be 150 for that particular point. So you can just go and calculate y, and all the values will be the same, m will be the same, I and I will be the same, and you can calculate the value at a particular point in a bending stress distribution. So this is how you can show the bending stress distribution across a cross section. Okay, so you can see the 3D figures also are given over there. So it is basically this stress is basically applied over all the cross section. Okay, and here, so this upper portion will be in compression, and this lower portion will be in tension. So this is the cross section, and this is how the stress is being applied over it, bending stress due to the movement basically. Okay, so apart from the normal forces and shear forces, bending moment will also cause stresses. Okay, so these stresses are called bending stress, and this distribution is called bending stress distribution. So hope it clears, and do some problems regarding it from the tutorial sheet. I have also given the assignment. Okay, and just go through them. Okay, thank you.